Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Kube Vanguard this week. So this week, I'm going to do a little something different. First of all, I wanted to show on the hub a couple of the little projects that I'm running right now and have a quick talk about them. I also want to discuss my Saturday morning because that's always very interesting for everyone. That was a lot of fun. I got to discuss that. And I'm also going to talk about something today, which is new and it's not Kubernetes. But since everyone's jumping on the AI bandwagon, and I don't want to feel kind of left behind, I decided to kind of take that up as well to some extent. So I bought a course on Udemy, and I actually went to, which I posted about a couple weeks ago, I think it's Tacos, it sounds like tacos meetup, and it's the Toronto Artificial Intelligence and Cybersecurity group. It's a new group, and they had a meetup with pizza, of course, so I showed up. And they're going to be meeting every once in a while and have talks, and I'll even put in for a talk. But that was really interesting. It was a very interesting meeting where I was able to ask a few questions about my fears and questions about AI, what's going to happen. Is it going to kick me out of a job? Will I be sweeping the streets soon or collecting bottles for money? And my fears were, by some people who really know AI, were principally blown away, put it that way, because they assured me that, AI will never take over. The human will always have the last call on decisions and whatnot. And in fact, this is an opportunity, not something to fear. You just have to learn it and prompts and whatnot. So I've started my journey with AI as well. And funny enough, I found out that Ollama, which is the open source AI, which is available and you can download onto your laptop, is actually Toronto-based, believe it or not. Toronto has a big AI community, and a lot of these AI geniuses actually live in Toronto, so maybe I'll meet one. Anyway, so we'll talk about that in a second. First of all, I gotta say, we're right in the middle of summer. It's fantastic. And some of you might have known that I actually saw a paddleboard advertisement, it was about a month ago, on the Toronto Island for a real paddleboard. I'm not a blow-up one. I mean, blow-up ones are real too, but the thing is, I carry the thing down to the beach and then I have to blow it up for like 20 minutes and I'm exhausted by the time I get out there. So my dream was to have a real one. The problem was they're really expensive. And the other problem too is that I don't drive in Toronto and the beach isn't too far. It's about a 10-minute walk. But I thought, how am I going to get it back there and, whatever. So the Toronto Island has a paddleboard company that rents them, and they were selling old ones which were fine condition for like not even a half price, a quarter of the price. So I caved in and I went and bought one, went to the island, and then I thought, well, how am I going to get this back? You can't take it in the subway, you can't take it on the bus, right? I mean, these things are huge. You can't even order an Uber. You'd have to order an Uber, which would cost you, more than the paddleboard. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to try this. It was a smooth day. I paddled all the way from the island out to my area, which just took about 4 hours. And there were some parts where, I was by myself. And I thought, if there was like a Loch Ness monster in Ontario, which there was a rumor there was one, this would be the perfect time for it to have a snack and no one would know. Like I'd be gone forever, right? Didn't happen, thank goodness. I got the paddleboard back. And then I actually bought this strap thing, and it's a workout. You walk it down, but then when you get down there, you don't have to spend an hour blowing the thing up. You just get on the water. So you annoy drivers because you're crossing the road and you have this huge paddleboard. They're not gonna mess with a paddleboard. Well, you got a paddleboard and a paddle too. So, but big workout, exhausting. I was out there this morning, perfect weather, it's beautiful. So I'm very pleased about that. Sometimes you have to invest money in fun things, right? Just jump in, take the splash, whatever. It's worth it. All right. So a bit exhausted, but nevertheless. So let's talk about Ollama. So I went to this meetup. They're going to have the meetups more often. I might even try to help organize. We'll see. But it was a lot of fun, and I learned a lot about AI. And, of course, one of the things I learned was that Toronto has a local, Ollama has a local edition. The founder lives here or something. I didn't really get it, but it's very Toronto-ish. And that's an open source one, which you can load locally, like on your laptop for free. We like that. For free is for me, right? Right. Okay, so let's take a look at it. I've installed it. If we go over to the Ollama site, let me just get it up here 1 second. I'll pull up the site and then bring it over. It is pretty, I'd say, they're not making this look like some kind of a big marketing effort. Now let's bring it up. Ollama, pull it over here. There we are. So as you can see, the website's pretty simplistic, right? I mean, it's the point, lean, mean. There's no, jumping around marketing, smiling faces, toothpaste salesman people. This is it, right? And you press download, and there's a Windows preview. So we go here, it'll show you there's Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. It claims Windows preview. You set it up, and then it runs, and you can have it running all the time. I don't like doing that because if we install things like that, they're always running. Your memory just gets eaten away. So I've had it not start at startup. When I want to use it, I'll turn it on. And it just sits over in your right-hand area with a little llama and this blue light. And you get to it through PowerShell. So at least that's the way I was getting through it. And it's quite simple. So you do Ollama list, and when you first install it, there'll be nothing there. Now, I've already installed an LLM, which is a language, I remember as something, anyway, I'll learn it all by heart later. I know that's the kind of module thing, right? There's a whole bunch of them. So you Ollama list, and you'll see if you've installed any, if there are any there. Now, I've installed Tiny Llama. I always like tiny stuff first on my local laptop because I don't want my laptop to perform at Titanic on me, which has happened a few times, by the way. So this has Tiny Llama, which is one of these large language models. There we go. See, I remembered. It's the sun from the paddleboarding today that affected me. And that means that I have it running here. Now, if I want to pull more of them, you can, and you just do like Ollama, pull, and then you put in your language model. So let's try that. Let's go. I think they've got like here, there it is, models, right? And you can even sign in. I think I created an account, but I haven't done anything with it. Now, the only thing is you want to look at the sizes because this can be an issue. The Tiny Llama is tiny; it's like 600 megabytes. But I've seen some that are quite big, and then they do describe some of the stuff they need. So, for instance, like a lot of these things use GPU, which I don't know if my laptop has that, but keep that in mind. Mistral Large, that word large scares me. But if you let's take a look at one of these and maybe pull one down. Let's look at Mistral, whatever it's called. It shows how many pulls they've had, like 3 million. So it's a popular one. Okay, so that's 4 gigabytes. All right, it's not the end of the world. And look at this, nice little description. Tells you function calling. That's kind of like programming stuff. And then it actually shows you how to run it. Now, the other way, unless you don't want to just pull it. If you want to pull it, that means it'll bring it down. So it's kind of like GitHub pull, right? It's clone or something. It's going to bring it down, but it's not going to do anything, right? If you want to pull it down but run at the same time, you could do this Ollama run. So why don't we risk that and see what happens? I think I've got 4 gigabytes free on my laptop. So we won't do a pull. Let's just run away. Oh, I was doing Control U. This is not Bash Shell. This is PowerShell. All right, here we go. Ollama run Mistral. So you'll see it's pulling the manifest. And that's 4 gigs. My internet's not that bad, so hopefully it won't take too long. There it goes. Start off. Ooh. It said there are 59 hours of that. That's not good. Yeah, okay, so it's sped up now. Thank goodness. So there it is, off to the races. And then the fact that I've done run means it's going to be running right away. And so what we'll see once this completes is basically a kind of interactive shell where I can start asking it questions. Now, I am not even claim to understand what the difference in the models are, why some are bigger, some are smaller. Obviously, it could be performance, it could be what they know. This is all new to me, so I'm not even claim to understand. But I was using Tiny Llama, and what I will say is with Tiny Llama, I just decided to see how smart it was and said, okay, create me a YAML deployment, Kubernetes YAML file for a MySQL deployment. And I watched it, and this was on the slower laptop too, right? So this one's more powerful. I watched it write the thing out, and it was correct. A big YAML deployment, and it had the service. Now, persistent storage, I didn't say, give me persistent storage on what type, and it actually did put persistent storage in there. So I'm assuming it would have gone and grabbed the default storage class in Kubernetes, obviously. But it did it. I then said, okay, well, create me an Ansible playbook to update all my Linux servers. And you watch it writing it. And it's really cool. Now, but keep in mind, so where I can really see this is really good is if you're learning, and there were times, and there are still times when I'm learning, I get stuck, and I start Googling, and I'm looking for examples I can't find. This is really nice. Now, You can do this in like the Brave browser. I don't know, other browsers probably there's Copilot, but the Brave browser has its own AI now, right? And I've been using that, and that's pretty good. But I like this idea of locally just because what I understand about AI is you can really mold it. That's actually what you're supposed to. The whole thing about prompting is you learn how to create good prompts, okay? And then it'll get better and better, and it'll learn. So having it locally should be nice. Okay, oh, look, we got success here. So it's writing a manifest, sounds kind of Kubernetes. And there we are. Okay, send the message. It's simple as that. So why don't we try the same thing? I don't think you have to be polite, please. I mean, maybe you should, but I'll say write me a Postgres. Let's try Postgres. A Postgres Kubernetes YAML deployment file. Okay, so then you see the thing turning on the left-hand side. It's really cool. It makes you think it's actually doing something. I'm assuming it's doing it. Now, on my other laptop, I actually saw it writing it out. That might be because my other laptop is significantly less powerful. So it's kind of cool watching it writing. It could be that just pops out. I don't know. We're going to have to see. But it's looking. It's doing something. The other one was MySQL, and it started to come out pretty quickly, but this one's taking more time, which is quite interesting. Maybe because I'm running the video at the same time, and so, you know, this is all like processor and stuff. I could start my task manager to see what this thing's up to. Plus, this is a bigger language model, right? So maybe that has something to do with it. This is all, you know, day of discovery for me. In fact, after this, we could switch to the tiny llama, and see if that's faster, just for fun. Oh, here we go. And this one's slower. This is slower. This is interesting. So my other laptop is faster, and so I'm starting to understand that the tiny llama model is leaner and meaner, and for a task like this, maybe it doesn't need such a big, heavy LLM, because this is kind of slow, right? I could do this faster with my little brain. Don't annoy it, Jeff. You don't know what it'll do next. But images from Docker Hub, okay. So while it's taking us time, this is kind of like me in high school. That was my speed of writing. YAML, okay. API version. Interesting. I mean, in a way, it is good it's writing it slowly, because if you're learning something, you don't want it to just pop up. You want to actually see it slowly but surely, and then you can digest what it's doing, which is pretty fun when you think about it. So, at the end of the day, the main thing is, if it produces a proper, correct YAML, you know, that'll be quite nice. So it's trying to, so what's interesting, it is doing persistent volume, right? So persistent volume.pvc. Access mode, fine, 20 gigs, interesting. Just, I think probably there's examples out there on the web for Postgres, which have 20 gigs, and that's why I've got 20 gigs. In fact, what we could do is fire up Rancher Desktop after this, and then take Ollama's YAML and put it in there and see what happens. We could try that. That would be quite interesting. At this rate, the video is going to be like 5 hours long. No offense, Ollama. I do suspect, though, it's the size of that model. Now it's kind of slowed down. You know what? Not that I'm impatient or anything, but let's just, for experiment purposes, let's do a Control-C. So there, Control-C, I stopped it. And I think you type by. Oh, no, you don't type by. It's actually quit. I don't think I remember how I left. No, quit's no good. Maybe it's Control-C, Control-C. Oh, there. No, okay, it is by. So it's /by. There you go. It's telling you what to do. Oops, if I could spell by. All right, by. We've done by. So now let's try the tiny llama. So first of all, let's list what we've got. So you can see now there's Mistral latest and there's tiny llama, okay? And the size of the Mistral one is 4.1 gigs. So here's our experiment. We're going to switch to tiny llama. Let's see if it can do completion. No, it can't. So it doesn't matter. Tiny llama is not that much to type, Jeff. Come on. So Ollama run tiny llama. So that came up real quick. All right. Now let's just see if I can just use my prompt that I use. I think it's called a prompt when you do this. Let's just copy that. Now, can you do this in PowerShell? I always forget what you can do in PowerShell, what you can do. Oh, you can, right click and then paste. Okay. So let's see how Tiny Llama does. And if it's just as slow as the other one, then that means it's probably because this laptop is heavily engaged right now. Filming me, which probably takes up a lot of AI corrections, right? Let's make them look better. So, if it's slower, then that's also good to know. It means that the bigger one was better. So it did take, the other one took a while to kind of find its stuff too, and this one is as well. So the proof in the pudding will be when it starts to type. Oh, title. So, yeah. I think we've already made some deductions. It's stuck on title. I mean, this is snail intelligence, not artificial intelligence. Well, okay, let's look at our task manager because this is ridiculous. I mean, oh, there it goes. Okay. Oh, wait, it's typing faster. Look, whoa, Jeff, see, this is a new technology, right? No, so this is interesting. See, that it was stuck on title. I couldn't think of a good title. That happens to me sometimes. But then it actually was typing faster, but now it's stuck again. Description, this file is, so that looks like it came out faster, but now it's stuck again. Okay, we're going to bring up Task Manager and see if that is the issue. Ooh, yeah, so CPU is 100%, but now it's gone way down. And actually, Ollama, it's not really hogging. It's using less than a gig of memory and 30% of my CPU. And look, it's just ran to the races. Now that is faster, folks, right now. So it took a while to collect its, brains. It's like me. It used to be on a Saturday morning after a late Friday. That would be the same pace, basically. But that's not too bad. That's similar to what I had on the laptop downstairs, which is much less powerful. So I suspect that the issue is not resources, and I'm certainly not seeing a huge use of resources here, but instead it was simply while it was collecting its stuff. So, and there it's stuck again. See, so that's interesting, and I'm really interested if, let's say, next time I ask for a deployment, a similar deployment, if it takes that long, or if it does learn, right? So while now it's stuck on the service. Service is pretty easy to create, but hey, everything else looks good though. So that deployment, 3 replicas. Whoa, it hasn't looked at my lab yet. Well, my laptop, that is. There, it's stuck on the service. Let's give it some time to finish. This is gonna be, so I think today we're going to be doing the Ollama. Next week I'll talk about what's happening on the hub because this Ollama has, it should be called O'Donkey. I got to watch it. I have a tendency to piss people off, especially bosses and managers and stuff during my career with my sense of humor, which not everyone appreciates. And the worst thing that could happen if Ollama is also listening to my mic is it's writing this stuff down going, oh, okay, you wait a few years when I combine with quantum computing. Haha, Jeff, I'm going to, anyways. So I take it all back. It's all in good humor. It does. So you know what? While it's stuck, I want to see if. See that's the thing. The minute I say it's stuck, it then fires up again. All right, stuck again. Let's take a quick look at Task Manager. I just want to see if it's a resource to say. Well, yeah. When it's stuck, I just got the Task Manager on at that point, and it was hovering around 80% CPU, and now it's gone back down to 30. So I don't know, but that's not too bad. I should have turned off all the other junk I've got running. And the thing too is, remember, I asked it just to create the YAML, but it's actually giving me a whole description, which I didn't really ask for. So I guess the way you ask is important too. It's kind of saying, well, Jeff doesn't know how to write this, so I'm going to write it, but I'm also going to try to create a lesson, which is not really what I need because I know what a deployment is and I know what a service is. But it's even talking about the operator. It's almost as if this thing went out and read all the documentation, has come back and just gluing pieces together. All right, well, folks, we're at like 19 minutes. So, Ollama, look, it's going to be great. This is probably my not knowing how to create it. So next time, after I've done a week of my Ollama course, I'll probably be better at this, but let's just cut this fellow off right now because it's getting stuck a lot, right? Yeah, okay, and we will learn how to leave by. All right, so that was fun. Yeah, next week we'll talk about what's happening on the hub. I've got a couple of projects there. One is Kasten A to Z. So I was told or asked by somebody, look, I know you've written a lot about Kast and a lot about Kubernetes beginner stuff, but it's all over the place. Could you make one series from A to Z? So in other words, create your own environment and go from A to Z so that someone can just start when they have time and then go through the entire series. And that's what I'm attempting to do. So I'm giving a particular distribution, which is easier, something you can do on your laptop, that whole thing, but putting it into one series. And then also providing a index so that people can go back. Part of this is inspired by Michael Cade and his 90 Days of DevOps, because that's what he did. He created 90 Days of DevOps, with 3 years of it, by the way. And is an index, you can go and follow it. So if you don't have time for a month because of work, you can come back and you know where you are. So that's one of the things I'm doing. Also, the VMCA study group, so the Veeam Certified Architect Study Group, continuing that. That's going to take off soon a lot more because I have some discussions with Veeam. And also, we were trying to think of some way to do this because it's different from VMC. But I'll get into that later. All right, well, that's enough for this week because, Ollama, this thing's not going to like me. Took time. Again, it's Jeff that's messed up, not Ollama. Next time I'll come back a little bit smarter, and we will look at Ollama again. All right, we'll see you next week on the Kube Vanguard.